Hey guys, Happy New Year, Happy 2026. Alright, first things first, the elephant in the room, the orange elephant in the room, if you will. Why am I wearing this? Well, I wanted to upload every 3 days, but as you can see, I haven't uploaded in about 8 or 9 days, not too sure. Uh, I need to soak myself into some media. I had to make sure I wasn't too black-pilled, because I saw a little bit of Fallout Season 1. I didn't buy Amazon Prime, I didn't give them any money. So I wasn't wanting to watch it to begin with because, like many Fallout fans at the time, I didn't want to hear about a Fallout show. Like, that wasn't, like I heard Fallout show and I'm like, I kind of hope it just quietly fails. Everybody forgets about it. We move on. We go, make a good Fallout 5, maybe correct some of the sins of Fallout 76 and Fallout 4, God willing. Knew it wasn't going to happen, but, you can hope. So I hear there's a season 2. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Maybe it already got pre-approved for 3 seasons or whatever. Still kind of hoping it quietly disappears. And then, I got some normie friends, or rather, some friends of normie family members, and they ask me, they're like, "Oh, you like Fallout? Have you seen it? It's good. It's so good." And I'm thinking, I must just be negative. And that's why I made the first video on this channel. Is I was like, yeah, I guess I'm just part of a dying minority of people that really like Fallout New Vegas and only Fallout New Vegas. So this is where I got to draw the line in the sand. This is where I'm just saying it. Fallout New Vegas was the best Fallout. That's the only Fallout as far as I'm concerned at this point. When I in the past I talked about, like, we need to bring back old Fallout. I hate new Fallout, and people were like, yeah, like Fallout 1, 2, and Tactics, and I was like, no, like 3 in New Vegas. And then the old heads understandably were like, oh jeez, that's what ruined it, for them. So I get why they don't, kind of like that. I get why they don't like New Vegas. That was the move to 3D that kind of killed their isometric, Fallout. So, I can't speak for them. I'm not old enough. I'm not Gen X. I'm not even a millennial. I'm like on the old end of being a Zoomer. So, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, they're my Fallouts. But Fallout New Vegas is going to be, that's my hill to die on. Well, I've decided I'm a Fallout New Vegas YouTuber. That's what I'm talking about. If there's a remake, I already disavow it. I'm sure a remake is already being worked on. Every time I see a comment or somebody being like, "Oh, I can't wait for New Vegas to get a remake," shut up. I don't want to hear it. You're not on my side. I'm not going to try to appeal to you. If that's how you feel, I'm not trying to be bitter. That's whatever. Unsub if you have to. I don't. I say that with no anger. I'm just saying, like, nah, New Vegas and New Vegas only, and that's the only Fallout I care about. I'm not going to try to defend Fallout 3. I'm not going to try to defend Fallout 4. I'm not going to try to defend Fallout 76 or the good about it, or even get into the old Fallouts or talk about Fallout Brotherhood of Steel. I'm not a Fallout YouTuber. I'm a Fallout New Vegas YouTuber. And to me, that's where, like, Oxhorn failed. That's where TK Mantis failed. That's where, like, Bear and Bear whatever and countless whatever not New Vegas YouTubers, but just Fallout YouTubers failed to me. Is they need that content. I watched a video by Synthetic Man, and I think he's like a little bit too red pilled to be happy. So probably not the best example to follow, but it looks like his channel's doing really well. But like, aside from just being like really pissed off, he made a really good point. And it's like, hey, all these like Fallout, lore YouTubers, nobody is speaking up about the Fallout show. All right, well, you know what? I didn't hear anybody speaking up about it either, but I'm speaking up about it. I hate the show. I spent a ton of time in 76. People who, like, have seen some of my old stuff know that about me. Fallout 4, I've defended the good, and I've kind of dug into the ugly and the bad about it, but I'm not even going to talk it. New Vegas only. And it's like, well, what you're going to run out of content, or you're going to talk about a bunch of stuff that dude's already talked about. I mean, at that point, we got to keep it alive. We got to do new playthroughs. We got to do edits. The geeked up playing Xbox all day. That edit of like a guy doing like a 360 quick scope or no scope, whatever it was in New Vegas, and it might even been in Fallout 3. No, the one I saw was definitely in New Vegas, but then I saw an Alistair Tenpenny one. But yeah, the New Vegas one. That's like the only piece of content that's kept New Vegas alive. Look at how Team Fortress 2 stays alive on like nothing, on less than a drip feed. Team Fortress 2 has this like awesome community, and I know that's mostly done to like, because they got a market, they got Source Filmmaker. Valve does a lot and gave the community a lot to work with to kind of keep it alive. But to be honest, yeah, New Vegas pretty much did too. It's just like, okay, you don't have as memeable of voice lines. And that's the other thing, it's just like I'm tired of like the same old stuff, with New Vegas. It's like the nuclear winter, haha, yup, they threw that in the show. Like someone's like, oh, look how much the people that made the show, and I'm not like dissing, so to speak, this like small creator I saw. I don't even remember the name. I just saw a YouTube short where it's got like Legion soldiers training on the dummies, and then they're like, oh look, these guys are like half-heartedly swinging at like a dummy in the show. These Legion guys in whatever season 2 of the Fallout show, and it's just like, well, that was just a limitation of the engine or the animation or the limited budget or time or whatever of like the GEC or Fallout New Vegas. Like the Brotherhood of Steel people in Fallout 3 are doing the same like kind of jagged push-ups. So it's just like that's like it's like someone saw footage of New Vegas and was like, oh, all this is literal, so I'm gonna make it literal, or that's the parody. I think Synthetic Man, to not to name drop again, but he called it like a glorified humiliation ritual. And I wouldn't go so far as to say it's a humiliation ritual, but it's like, man, it really is just like it's pretty disrespectful if you're like a real fan of the game. And I hate it when they're like, oh, we put in a little Easter egg. Like, oh, we got the fridge. We got like someone hiding in a fridge. We got the Sunset Sarsaparilla. Like, oh, don't you remember that? And it's just like, no, it's not how you do that. And I'm trying to think of like a better, I guess ironically, what made New Vegas so good was the fact that it did things nuanced. Like Fallout 3 was like, oh, it's 50s and it's post atomic and everything's nuclear and it's tinted green. And New Vegas was like, okay, well that's a good framework, but let's ground that a little bit. Let's make that closer to not only the source material, but let's also like it's not going to be like everything's tinted green and you're just going to be hearing Geiger counter noises. Like I think you still do if you touch radiation, but you know what I mean. It's like not so nuclear themed. You're not reminded every second that an atomic war happened 200 years ago, like it happened 20 minutes ago. New Vegas did that nuance better. Let me think in terms of just like racial and like LGBT representation. I think the reason why New Vegas is like sort of like kind of like I don't want to say claimed, but I think like it's kind of well loved by like I'll just say people on the right and on the left just to oversimplify it. But like I think the reason it's accepted is because of how it presents it. You have black characters, you have gay characters, you have these characters that are they're not going out of their way to be like, hey, I'm black and I'm gay and I'm like a key figure in this faction and deal with it if you don't like it, chud. Like they don't hit you with that. You just kind of find out. It's just like, oh, this really competent doctor. I think he just hinted he was gay, but ultimately it's not important. But hey, that's good writing. That's what made New Vegas good. So like, Fallout Season 2, like whatever that is to New Vegas is like New Vegas was an improvement on kind of like this sort of like middle finger that Bethesda was already kind of giving the franchise. New Vegas was like, well, no. It doesn't have to lean that hard into parody. And then Bethesda was just like, nah, dude, we're going full into parody. And if Fallout 4 didn't sell it, and if Fallout 76 didn't sell it, the show, which I assume Bethesda isn't writing, I'm told they're not writing it. It's like they're green lighting it, or they greenlit it, or they gave them, just said go off, whatever they did. It's the coup de grace to any kind of seriousness in Fallout. But I kind of you could make a meta statement, and like I don't want to make the statement that a million people have made, including myself, like a million times, which is like, oh, it's Emil Pagliarulo and Todd's fault and blah blah blah, and it's just like, no, I know the moment that Bethesda grabbed Fallout as a franchise, they probably were like, let's make this generate revenue. I mean, you got Starfield, and that's like I feel like they kind of treated that almost with like more seriousness. At least Bethesda did. That's just the impression I get. But I don't want to lean too hard on the Starfield because who cares? But I've been playing some Morrowind because I was like, let's go back to the beginning. Let's like see what Todd Howard did to Bethesda that put Bethesda like really kind of into the mainstream stage. And Daggerfall had a really good quest structure. Now, I don't know if this was Todd Howard's addition. I know a lot of people work on a game. It's not one dude. You got amazing writing from, I can't remember his name, but, just to keep keep the momentum going, keep the ball rolling. The mushrooms guy that did, like, a lot of mushroom art and, like, drew all the demons and, or whatever the Daedra, I mean. Michael Kirkbride, there we go. So I just wanted to get him in there because he was an important part of Morrowind. But what made Morrowind such a legendary RPG is they kept that quest structure, and they kept that kind of quasi faction structure. But then they made a bespoke world. They made bespoke characters. They were like, all right, let's keep those quests, but let's get rid of that procedural generation. And that's what made it so good. And then they're like, well, let's apply that approach to Fallout, and that's how you get Fallout 3. And it worked really well. It was just like, so if you never touched Fallout prior to that point, great drop in for the series. And then Fallout New Vegas was just an improvement in every way. It was like, oh, the weapons work in a concise way. You're not like reminded that, like, they called it Oblivion with guns, and Fallout fans kind of hate that. But like Bethesda called it that, and you can see that's how Bethesda treated it. They're like, here's an IP we grabbed, and we're just gonna shove out there. So like New Vegas was made with love, and I think people called Bethesda like, hey, why didn't you make it with love? And that was never part of their plan. I can see that just looking at it. Their structure from the beginning is like, take a great idea, simplify it, move it to a bigger and bigger normie audience. So, I guess I just kind of caught it at a lucky time. I grew up at a lucky time to catch New Vegas at the time I did. But, that's what I thought the future of games was going to be. I thought that was going to be the model going forward. How do we take this and make it even better? Not just graphically, but how do we get into these mechanics more? The way that, like, New Vegas expanded on the Fallout 3 mechanics. So, that's where I'm standing. I'm a Fallout New Vegas or Fallout New Vegas Ultimate Edition, if you want to split hairs, get, whatever wordy with it. That's what I'm sticking to. That's all I'm talking about. Fallout 4, Fallout TV show, 76, 1, 2, Tactics, Brotherhood of Steel 3, Broken Steel. That's not a game. I just wanted to say it for some reason. I don't care. New Vegas Ultimate Edition, New Vegas DLCs, New Vegas modding, maybe. And it's like, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Because, some of them go a little bit off the rails. Like, a lot of people love New California. Clearly a lot of love went into it. A little bit goofy, not that far off from Frontier in my opinion. But that's not a dig. That's just like when people start playing with what they think is lore friendly, it's like that wasn't lore friendly to me, but look what Bethesda's doing. So the fans at least, even when they say lore friendly, it might go a little bit off the rails, but I still think there's more love put into it than anything, Bethesda even ever did. But that's the model going forward. New Vegas discussions, New Vegas edits. New Vegas, we're going in. We are anything that can be talked about on New Vegas. I'm going to be the guy to talk about it. I'm claiming the mantle. If there's already a New Vegas guy, well, he's not talking loud enough because I haven't seen him. So that's me now. And I feel like I'm going to end on that note. So that's me. I'm a prisoner of the current state of Fallout, and not even a Fallout New Vegas remake would release me because I can't trust Bethesda to put out a product that they can't screw up. That's just like, I don't even want it. Remade to what? Skyrim quality? That's, okay, what? They going to streamline it like Skyrim? Same thing, what are they going to make it like Starfield? They're going to put a Starfield-style dialogue box just to save time, and I'm going to hate it immediately as soon as I recognize it, so. Not even a new, you know what, Bethesda's like, there's nothing we can do to make them happy? Yep, you're right. The train it's gone. The ship has sailed. I'm a New Vegas-only fan, and, yeah, so... That's the plan going forward. I love you guys. I'm going to end on that note. More New Vegas content coming at you soon. As far as like esoteric, paranormal, supernatural, schizo content, when the mood strikes me. I'm like a werewolf. The moon's got to change or something. Then I want to talk about that stuff again. But in the meantime, Fallout's like whatever that main beam is in a ship. I say guidepost a lot. I don't even know what that means. But yeah, Fallout. Yeah, we're gonna circle around that. Love you guys. I'll see you soon. Please like and subscribe if you haven't yet. That would rule. I saw two people subscribe today. Went from 58 to 60. So thank you to you guys. You definitely made my day, and was big motivation for me making the video. That's not to discount the other 58 people prior that subscribed. Thank you very much. I mean that. But I'm gonna head out. I'm spinning my tires here. I do that a lot. If you talk too much, you can save it. Or you can just drill deeper and deeper. And there's no real way of knowing until the words have left your mouth. So I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna head out. But yeah, I'll upload whenever I get a chance. I had a chance yesterday and was playing War Thunder French 3.7. That took a lot of my time. Why don't I make content on that? Because I don't know. That's a shut my brain off activity. I got nothing intellectual to say about War Thunder. I'm bad at it. I just enjoy it. It's like an elephant with watercolors. I'm leaving. Love you guys. See you soon.